Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play the remake of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I'm Sam.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish.
And today we'll be continuing our playthrough of Persona 3 Reload, covering the month of January. But before we get to that, how was y'all's week?
I mainly just played Persona 3 Reload because I wanted to finally catch back up in my replay. And I did. I caught up, and it was great. But I am looking forward to playing either Legend of Legaia or Radiata Stories, whichever wins. Had enough of this playing a really great, slick new game. I want to play a weird old game that's kind of bad.
Yeah, I am tired of feasting on 4 to 6 hours of the best video game, and I want to play 2 to 3 hours of the worst video game. So go vote for Legend of Legaia.
I doubt either game is the worst video game.
No. We've already covered Septerra
I'm so glad that was before my time.
I'm glad that was before my time.
So, in case you're listening, the dev who still does art for Septerra because he wishes he could do a sequel real bad. The game is actually really good. It's just so 90s computer game, and there's no way around it. And it deserves a remake because like the story and world building and everything is cool, but it takes like 500 hours to do anything because it's a 90s computer RPG.
I see. So. I am recovering because the timing on it is weird. I want to say yesterday, but technically it wasn't really yesterday because unless yesterday encompasses the time I was mostly awake, so like 40 hours. I'm back in the United States. I'm back in my normal recording setup in my room in the Massachusetts. And getting here was a story because my bus didn't leave Toronto until 9 o'clock. And let me preface this. Apologies. There's no this wasn't one of the worst days of my life. Like last time I got back from Canada, there's no fun, silly, or just despairing encounter with tragedy along the way. It's mostly just an ordeal of time because the bus left at 9 p.m. But my girlfriend works a job, and she worked that day, and she had to start her shift in the town she lives in, which is like an hour and a half away from Toronto if traffic isn't bad, and at like 5, I think. So I got dropped off at the bus terminal at about 2 o'clock. Closer to 3, I think. But still, I had to wait 6+ hours for that first bus. And let me tell you, that's an existential experience. And then I took the bus and was on a bus for... Oh, God, so you left at 9, and I got there 9 hours. That was about 9 hours of bus. And then I was in New York City for 3 hours. And then I bussed from there to Boston, which is another 5 hours of busing. And then I finally, my wife appeared and drove me home. And I had little bouts of sleep throughout, but I'm fresh off of something that could actually be called real sleep. And the main thing is when you spend that much time either in a bus or sitting in an uncomfortable bus terminal seat, or sitting against a wall in a bus terminal. Thanks, New York City. Great bus terminal design. Absolutely no seating or chargers anywhere. I hate you.
It's because they hate homeless people.
I know. I'm so aware. You cannot spend more than 30 minutes in New York City with your eyes open and not realize that they hate homeless people. No, sorry. Not they. The people of New York City. I'm not going to accuse the people of New York City of hating homeless. The city of New York City, the local government, hates homeless people. With a horrible vindictive passion. But yeah, anyway, my body is recovering but still sore in about 15 different places from the mess that was all of that. Like falling asleep in a bus the position, especially if you're not on a window seat, the contortions you need to do to your body to keep like some semblance of like, oh, my body can fall asleep in this position. At least to me, I can't just lay back and fall asleep like that. Which leads to just like, oh, if I turn my neck the wrong way, pain happens. So I'm recovering from that. And then my only other thing, as Bernard talked about, catching up. I've been caught up. I lost some progress, and then I made the progress up again. And I'm close to the end of Persona 3 Reload, and I realized I don't want to beat the good ending before we finish today's recording. So I started playing Persona 4 instead. And so far, I'm liking it. The vibe. I will just say in brief here, maybe a thing to talk about in bonus material more. So far, the vibes are much stronger in Persona 2 than they are Persona 3, and I find that fascinating. What have you done with your week, Sam?
So, as I said last week, my shelf that had all of my shit on it fell on top of me the other day, and since then, I've kind of been living out of boxes in my room because I had nothing else to do. And on Wednesday this week, I was like, what if I refeng shuied my entire room? I took this opportunity to not have a thing on my wall that makes me not be able to move furniture, and I move furniture everywhere. So I moved all the things, but it didn't fit. All of my stuff didn't fit because I used to have this giant, luxurious L-shaped desk, but it didn't fit on the opposite wall because of the closet door. So I consolidated everything down onto just the long, skinny part of my L desk, which now means I live in the fucking Batcave because instead of having 12 screens spread out across two walls, they're all consolidated onto like half of one wall, and it looks ridiculous. But today, after we finish recording, I'm going to go be a handyman, and I'm going to build myself a shelf because I can't find one that's exactly like I want, and 2x3s are really fucking cheap, and I'm just going to go buy some 2x3s and bolt them together and put my VHS on it. So
I wish you
exciting.
all of the luck in the world. Um, I really hope you don't make a really awesome sturdy shelf and then it falls on you.
Yeah, I got some like industrial strength wall anchors for, this time because the shelves were put up with because I had run out of my industrial strength ones, but I instead replaced it with 5 of the Walmart brand ones that said that they supported all of the weight and they were big enough and they were okay. And that was a mistake. Don't do that. Don't get the Walmart brand wall anchors. But I have new good wall anchors, and the shelf crucially is going to be supported by the floor and attached to the wall to keep it from falling over, not be suspended from the wall. So it should be good, and it'll look really really cool when it's all said and done. Other than that, I've been playing a shitload of Persona 3 because we had a lot to play this week and not a lot of notes to talk about. So I put on, I finished Ages while doing One Tartarus Run, and it's really good. Mistborn Era 1 rules, and everyone should read it. You don't have to read the second one. I'm sure the second one's also good, but like the first 3 books are a standalone trilogy, and they're really, really good.
Yeah, it's important to note that he didn't even intend the second era to ever be a thing until he started doing it.
Yeah. Citation needed, but we can talk about that in bonus material. And so I finished that one, and as I think I mentioned before, I'm trying to finish a Stormlight reread before the new one comes out in December. But I finished Way of Kings in like 4 days instead of in like the whole month, and so that's why I was finishing Mistborn. And so I was like, oh, I don't want to finish my entire reread right now and then have to wait till December, so I'll just do 1 book a month to get me ready for it. And so September starts today. So on Friday morning when I finished A Hero of Ages, I was like, I think I got 11 listening hours in before September starts, so I've been binging The Sunlit Man, and it's good. It is very, very, very Avengers Endgame level of Cosmere crossover, but it's
Ooh.
very, very good.
I look
Like
forward to reading it eventually.
like the planet is a really cool planet. It's based off one of his bad story ideas from his podcast. Most of the secret projects are. It's kind of hilarious. So he was like, "These are bad story ideas. I'm never going to use them." And he's like, "Hey, I used 3 of them." But so the world is really cool, but the people who live on the world are Thrinidites, and they are interacting with Scadrian technology, and the Sunlit Man himself is Rosharan. So
Yeah.
it is an Avengers Endgame level of crossover, but it's really cool. Scarlet was like interested and was like, "Hey, so tell me like what's happened in the book so far, so I can listen with you." I'm like, it's kind of a long story because part of the story to understand what's going on is I would have to summarize the Stormlight Archive for you, which famously I have said to is so big and has a lot of nuance in it that like to explain the sort of things would basically be just me rereading the entire audiobook to you because of the way that the world building is drip fed and all of that stuff. So it's like I physically can't tell you what's happening so far. It's kind of big, but yeah, it's been great. Highly recommend. I didn't actually finish it because one of the Tartarus runs that I was expecting to finish the book in, they talk every 3 levels.
Yes, they do.
So I that one was not conducive to audio booking. So I'll finish Sunlit Man this morning, and then I'll get started on Words of Radiance.
I will say, you mentioned Throne Knights. Have you read? Oh God, the fucking short story's name is never going to. Shadows for Silence in the Forest of Death, or whatever the fuck it's called.
I have not yet. So
Okay.
I
look
just know
forward.
enough of
Yeah.
about Trinity because Hoyd doesn't ever shut up, and he's narrated
Yes.
2 of the other secret projects.
Makes sense. I will say I've actually read that one. It's one of the Cosmere bits I have read. And I'll say it is interesting, and I would honestly love to hear your thoughts on it once you do read it.
Yeah.
But that's all we're here to talk about today.
No, we are here to talk about those aforementioned Tartarus runs. So let's listen to some of the best music that this game has put out so far, and then we'll talk about the plot.
I am planning for the first music break to use Living with Determination, which is the music that plays in the dorm in January.
Mm-hmm.
That's. I was wondering. I was like, God, after this game is done, I'm gonna start digging through the soundtrack, and I really want to. Like, that's a good track. I really like it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And then the second musical break will be Burn My Dread, obviously.
I'm sorry, which one's Burn My Dread?
The one where she talks about how she will burn her dread.
It's the second Nyx fight.
I haven't done the Nyx fight.
It's in January.
It's in January. That's what we're covering today.
It's
like the only thing we're covering today.
We're doing the bad end today. Today was the bad end.
The bad end and January.
Wait, what? But you said the good end is next week.
The good end is what's in March.
Yeah, the good end is the March stuff.
I thought that didn't include the final battle.
No.
Oh my God, I did. I was so worried about not going over. I didn't play up to. I misunderstood.
It's kind of a big deal.
Instructions unclear. God damn it.
Spoilers, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Okay.
How far did you actually get?
I'm I've beaten Tartarus, but I haven't gotten to the last day of the month. I've done it. That's basic. That's my summary. I've done everything else, just not that.
Okay. I think all of the
I mean,
it,
the stuff that happens on the promise day, you can pretty much guess what happens.
yeah,
Okay,
it's fairly anime straightforward. And
Okay.
if you've been to this portion of a JRPG before, you got it. All of
The interesting stuff is in March.
yeah.
Okay, then I will try to not. I'll just sit here and and listen.
Yeah.
I guess.
Whoopsies.
Whoopsie doodle.
So, what'll it be, Totinos? Do you listen to your friends and respect their decision to not go quietly into the darkness, or do you betray their trust and kill Ryoji to forget the dark hour and live out another month in blissful ignorance? Fuck trusting our friends. Let's see the bad ending. We tell Ryoji that we're gonna kill him, and he thanks us. He says, I think looking to the future is a great way to live, but that doesn't mean other ways of living are wrong. No one knows which road will lead to happiness. I'm really glad that I met you. This must be what it feels like to feel happy. Thank you for everything. And in that moment, everything stopped. Flash forward to March 4th. Junpei meets up with Totinos on the way to school and says that he can't believe that the year flew by so fast. They only have 1 year of high school left, and anything could happen in their future. Nearby, Aigis is staring at them, but Junpei doesn't recognize her. Yukari is like, you don't know her? Are you dumb? She lives in our dorm. And Junpei's like, okay, then what's her name? And Yukari's like, I don't know, why? Speaking of our dorm, Akihiko is leaving. And we're like, yeah, that's how graduating works. Mitsuru's leaving too. And like, oh yeah, the student council president lives in our dorm too, doesn't she? This is weird that all of these people live with us and we've never talked to them before. How weird. Meanwhile, Aigis is still staring at them and not talking to them. So Yukari asks her why she's staring. She doesn't answer, and Aigis runs off. Inside the school, it's graduation day, and Mitsuru gives a speech. She says that in the year since becoming student council president and telling everyone to seize their opportunities, she lost a lot of self-confidence when her dad died. She, and I quote, had overestimated my ability to handle everything alone because I believed it was the right thing to do. And it was the kind words of the student body that helped her recover, and she hopes that she can continue into the future with the support of her friends. In the crowd, Yukari and Junpei and Totinos are all talking. Aigis didn't come to school, or didn't come in today, or I think it actually does take place over 2 days, whatever. But she didn't come to school, and Yukari is like, I think that seizing your opportunity is bullshit. If life is about the pursuit of happiness, then knowing the truth isn't everything. Sure, you got to take a stand on some things, but if you take a stand on every little thing, there'll be no end to it. It doesn't matter how you spend your time as long as you're happy. No one is going to fault you for choosing to live in the moment, right? And speaking of living in the moment, they're about to be seniors and school is going to start to suck really bad. So they should just spend their time doing karaoke together and not worry about what's going to happen next. Tortino's smiles and nods, and the credits roll, but the Tartarus music plays over the credits.
I'm just gonna say now. I'll save most of my thoughts on this for the mem moms, but I really love this bad ending.
Yeah,
It's so well written.
yeah, I really like it. It like doesn't doom and gloom you and be like, oh, you picked the bad ending and make you feel bad. The only like hint that it's the bad ending is all of your friends said don't do this and then you did it anyways, but then Mitsuru's speech of being like, hey, don't make decisions for other people, but then after that all of your friends agreed that the future is scary and choosing to live in the moment isn't a bad thing, and then you and your friends peacefully meet the end singing karaoke together, and that's kind of cool.
It is. I will just say, for now, it reminds me of the season 4 finale or series 4 finale to Doctor Who, in that feeling of seeing a character having lost memories and clearly having reverted to a earlier stage in character development, and the sharp contrast between the character you've gotten to know as they've grown and who they are, who they were at the beginning of the story. And I think that's just awesome.
Yeah.
Great writing, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, but fuck dying quietly. We're gonna save the world.
Yeah.
So back in December, we tell Ryoji to get bent, and he says that he knew we would say that. And he says that if there was any way to stop Nyx, then we would be the ones to be able to do it. He says that he is glad to see us one more time as Ryoji Mochizuki, and he'll tell us how to confront Nyx. So we head back down to the lounge, and he tells us that we're all stupid for trying, but that's kind of cute. So if we want to confront Nyx, we have to climb to the top of Tartarus on the promised day, January 31st, 2010, at the end of the month, because that's when the world will end. He warns us that we're not just fighting shadows, but also fighting against overwhelming despair. And Mitsuru's like, yada yada, you've said this before, get the fuck out of here. He wishes the group a happy new year, and he leaves. We reach rank 10 of the Fool Arcana, and the whole group digivolves. There it is, from the Special Extracurricular Execution Squad to the Nyx Annihilation Squad, and we start the Judgement Arcana social link.
They spelled judgment with 2 E's, which is technically correct, but you can spell it with just 1 E, which I think is cooler to do.
I always have done it with 2 E's, and then it was like marked incorrectly on something, like either a homework or a spell check or something, and I looked it up, and the E was not it's okay to not be there, and it's broken my brain ever since, and I don't know which one is good, and I think the answer is both of them, and I don't like that. I want one to be right.
Sorry, this is English.
I know. The next day is New Year's, and Ken asks the upperclassmen if they are going to go to the shrine for the New Year's festivities, and they're like, nah, it's super busy, and like, we're too grown for that shit. Ken is like, oh, well, the girls are already there in their kimonos, and they're like, actually, you know what? Let's be festive. Let's go to the shrine. At the shrine, everyone makes a wish for a great new year, all 12 months of it, not just the remaining 30 days. As we leave the shrine, we find that the music everywhere in town has changed to be a melancholy version of Memories of You, and it casts everything out in the world into like sadness. But in the dorm, it's a getting shit done version of the Tartarus theme, and it fucking rules.
Also,
So
everything is a different color now, and the city is shit.
There's trash fucking everywhere, including like the front steps of your own dorm. And it's like, the only people who don't have apathy syndrome in the whole city live here. Clean up your fucking mess, Junpei. Stop just throwing your fucking bottles on the front doors of your dorm.
Also, there's mysterious posters everywhere.
Mysterious posters.
Yeah, the posters are for a cult of Nyx, cult that's been popping up and going everywhere. And there's even a website that you can do. You can surf the web. And one of the websites is like a homepage for the cult where everyone's posting. And a weird thing. I don't know what this means for the story at large. I wrote it down because I thought it would come up, and then it didn't come up. But when you use the website, it says that it hasn't been updated in a while.
Are you sure that you didn't look at the website for the revenge site? Because
no.
Okay.
It was the Cult of Nyx site.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it said it hadn't been updated in a while. And so I was like, that's weird, but I don't know exactly know what that means. Like maybe it's like Ikutski's site or something. I don't know. So yeah, like Bernard said, basically every NPC in the whole game has apathy syndrome now. It's kind of depressing, but we got shit to do. So once school is back in session, Igus asks us to walk her home, and on the way, we stop at the shrine. She says that she didn't understand shrines until recently, until we found Koromaru. He knew that his master had died, but the feeling of wanting to be with him made him stay anyways. Much like how Igus couldn't protect Totino's, but she came back to him anyways. She wasn't following facts or logic, but rather her emotions. She has those now. Neat.
I would argue she's had those probably for a while, but she's recognizing them now.
Yes. Now that she's gotten through her "I'm a machine" monologue, she's like, maybe I'm not a machine. Maybe these things aren't bugs in my programming. A few days later, Akihiko loses a bet and has to pay for everyone's ramen. So they head over to Hagakure, where there's a magazine about the Cult of Nyx and their leader, the Messiah. And when they read the article, there's a picture of the Messiah, and it's Takaya. And I knew that he looked like Jesus. He was the Messiah the whole time.
He was
We can't escape this motherfucker.
He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
In the interview, he says that he's been blessed by Nyx and that she will arrive soon, and there will be no more pain or suffering. But there are miscreants who have the same power as he, but instead of helping people get ready for Nyx, they've been causing all of the recent tragedies plaguing the streets. But people shouldn't fear those miscreants, as Nyx will take care of them with her righteous anger. Igus contemplates on the mortality of humans, and Junpei orders extra ramen, and the team heads home. A few days later, Totino's is sneaking into Club Escapade like he does many nights because there's a social link in there, and there's someone there that's proselytizing the cult of Nyx and asks Totino's if he'd like to go meet the Messiah. And Totino says, "Yeah, man, I want to do it." And the cultist takes him out to the station outskirts, where sure enough, Takaya is there. He's like, "Aw, you finally came to visit me. It's usually the other way around. I come to visit you." He says that we have no more reason to be enemies because the Dark Hour is still here and Nyx is going to destroy the world, so they should be friends. We say, "Fuck you, we'll kill you and your godmother." And Takai is like, "I scorn those who preach about the future with improvidence. The world does not need a script that is already written, nor does it want for charlatans who speak as though the future can be seized. What it needs is for the curtain to fall." He says that he will be at the top of the Tower of Demise on the promised day, and if we try and interfere, he will kill us. A few days later, Igus asks us if we'd like to go to the roof with her. She says that she used to live in Yakushima with all of its clear water and great views, but she likes the view here in town better because she can see the mall, the dorm, the monorail, all of the places that she loves. She hadn't felt anything close to nostalgia or love for a particular place before, but now that she's met Totino's, she's feeling those feelings, and she's glad that she is. On the way home, some stray dogs and cats run up to them, and Igus, knowing how to speak to animals, says that they think that we're mistreating Koromaru because every time he comes to this shrine, he's covered in fucking battle scars. And Igus tries to explain, but the dog with the old man voice bites her and gets a mouthful of metal.
Man, these NPC animals have really bad voice acting.
Mm-hmm. He helps, and the animals all run away. Igus is sad because even though her heart is becoming human, her body will always be metal. And if she's not strong enough to be a shadow killing machine, but she's too stiff to be human, where does she fit in? A few days later, Mitsuru asks Totinos to come with her to the student council room alone. No Junpei, no Yukari. When we get there, she asks if we remember Chidori. She says that there's a chance that Chidori will wake up today. Yes, we did all see her die with our own eyes, but then a few days later, her body began transmogrifying into a coffin during the Dark Hour, and she's been in a stasis between life and death ever since. But she's been getting better and better, probably because of her persona's abilities, but they aren't sure. Mitsuru asks if we should tell Junpei because there's a chance that she... And then her phone rings. Chidori is awake. Mitsuru's like, "I can't believe that Chidori really came back to life," right as Junpei comes in to check on them and open the door. He's like, "What? Are you joking?" Mitsuru's like, "No, she's in the exact same hospital room as before because the devs couldn't afford to model more than one hospital room just for a hidden optional scene." So we all head out to the hospital, and not only is she alive, but the healing didn't stop when she was alive, and all of her shit that was messed up from being a Forced Persona user has been healed too. So there's now also not a threat of her dying in the next 2 years. Junpei is like, "Oh, heck yes. Chidori, is that really you?" And she's like, "Who are you?" She doesn't remember anything of the past few years. All of her memories after she awakened her persona are gone. Junpei is like, "Well, in the end, I guess that's good, because if someone is living a nightmare, they deserve to wake up." But Chidori quickly says, "I wasn't having a nightmare. I was having a very nice dream about meeting a kind, warm person at the end of a long tunnel. I think there were flowers, like a room filled with them." And the doctor's like, "Wait, she remembers the flowers? When she was in here, she would use her powers on the wilting flowers in her room to bring them back to life so that they'd be blooming whenever Junpei would come and visit, especially the flowers that Junpei had brought her. The flowers, after she died, were remarkably preserved, and so on the night of her scheduled autopsy, as kind of like a memento token thing, the doctor put the flowers like on her chest as if it were like a funeral, and it was that night that her body began to transmogrify into a coffin. Dead bodies don't turn into coffins in the Dark Hour, so at that point they're like, she must be coming back to life. That's fucking weird. Mitsuru's
So the flower, the healing energy she put into the flowers went back into her body, and it's like, sure, man,
sure, whatever.
I'll buy it.
Mm-hmm. The doctor is like, it seems like she's changed since you recovered. She not only lost her persona, but she also now has the will to live. And Chidori is like, "Of course I want to live. Why wouldn't I want to live? I have to find the person from my dream. I can't just lie around being dead." Mitsuru knowingly asks what she'll do if she ever finds him, and Chidori blushes and says, "That's none of your business."
It also healed her depression.
Mm-hmm. Junpei cries tears of joy, and he says that this is the best news he's ever heard in his life. Mitsuru and Totino's leave to give them some privacy, and they find Yukari and Fuka in the hallway crying, and it's very cute. A few days later, Igus and Totino stop by Polonia Mall on their way home, and there's a little old lady looking for her cat, Michan. Igus says that we should help her look for her, and Totino's agrees. They look everywhere, though, and they can't find it. Igus says that she can scan for shadows, but she can't find a measly cat anywhere, so she's useless. What's the use in being a machine with human emotions? But they can't find the cat, and it's starting to get dark, so they just head home. But on the way home, they hear some. I hate myself. This is a joke that's unpronounceable. I said instead of hear meowing, I said they hear nyawning, which does not flow off the tongue. It was late, but on the way home they hear some meowing and they rush over, and it's Michan. They bring her back to the old lady, who says that she was lonely without Michan, so she's so glad that she's back. I guess it's like being by yourself is lonely. I guess living is something that you can't do alone. It's important to keep someone in your thoughts and know that you are in theirs and be able to contact them anytime or even touch them. But I do understand one thing. I feel happy when I'm with you, Totinos. But how would I get close to someone with a body like mine? Whoops, sorry, I'm being too negative. Let's head home. The next day, it's career counseling with Miss Toriumi, and she asks Totinos what he's going to do when he graduates. And no matter what he says, she says it doesn't matter what he chooses, as long as he's the one who made the choice, because having someone else make the choice for you sucks shit.
That's true.
She says that Igus is next on her list, so we need to go get her from the classroom, but she's not there. Kinji and Kazu says that she might be up on the roof, because she's been acting super differently lately and going to the roof pretty often. Totinos finds her up there and she's lost in thought. She says that she's been thinking hard over the last month, and when she fought Ryoji, she was super scared when her consciousness was fading. On top of that, she was ashamed and confused at not being able to beat him. But, like, she couldn't beat him 10 years ago, and that didn't make her feel like this. What was so different this time? She says that she's been thinking about it a lot, and she thinks that she imprinted on Totinos to be closer to death, but Ryoji's dead, and she still doesn't want to leave Totinos' side. She doesn't know what living means, but she thinks that she can figure it out if she's with Totinos. A few days later, we're heading home when we see Michan's owner talking with her grandson. She's doting on him and trying to be a kindly grandma, and he's just there to get money from her. I guess it's like, I have something I want to ask him, and follows after the grandson. She asks him if he's lonely when he's all by himself, and he's like, what? Who are you? And she says that his grandma said that she's lonely because she doesn't have anyone to visit with her. So why doesn't he alleviate her loneliness? And he's like, I don't know. Who asked you? Iga says that she thinks that what it means to live is to have strong bonds between people, and his grandmother is losing that. He's like, nah, life is about having a blast. You feel good when you're having fun. Igus is like, I see, and she leaves with Totinos.
In Kiyoshi's defense, I guess was being weird here, but then his ultimate response to it of, nah, man, life's about having fun, having a blast, is also pretty weird.
Yeah. Iga says that ever since she decided to live, she's been asking questions like why and how a lot, and now there's so much more she doesn't understand. But when she asks herself why she's alive, she doesn't have an answer. But this motherfucker, Kiyoshi, has soft hands that he can use to hold his loved ones, and he doesn't even care. She wonders if this ugly, mean feeling that she's feeling is jealousy, and they head home. A few days later, Michan goes missing again. I guess it's like, we're going to go find her for you again. And the old lady is like, no, it's okay. I think she's gone in search of someplace to die. And I guess it's like, no. And the lady's like, no, it's fine. It's okay. She even said goodbye to me before she left. I think she's just ready to go. And I mean, it's the same for me. My day will eventually come too, and I hope that when I do, I can rest in peace and not make everyone worry about me. I did want to make sure that I saw you guys so I could say thank you again. And she turns to leave. I guess it's like, you're not alone. I'm certain of it. And the old lady's like, well, no one is ever truly alone. See, I have the company of a fine young lady such as yourself. And then she doesn't say toodaloo, and she leaves. I have to change the fucking outro to every episode now because of this remake.
Doesn't she just say, see you later?
Yeah, it's like
which is not even interesting.
No. So I guess wonders if Michan was happy in the end, and what the purpose of her life was, or what the purpose of life in general is. If living is about connecting with others, but it all eventually ends. Life is cruel, but she wants to live, not just to become more human, but to spend time with Totinos. Her heart is growing closer to that of a human, but her body is a machine, and she only looks like a human's person. She couldn't ever actually become human, but she still cares about Totinos, and that will never change. What's that all about? Totino says that it's love because if you don't date, I guess you're a heartless person.
I listen. I agree. I agree. Not just because I am a known robot fucker, but also because she is the best. And this is. I'm just gonna say now. I think the best social link in this goddamn game.
Yeah.
I love it. I love Aegis so much.
Mhm. She's like, love. Now I understand. I now have another wish beyond just a one to live, even though it's a wish I can never had. So I can't let it end like this. I've tried to think through it rationally, and I think that the old lady wanted to be there with Michan at the end. Life is about being connected with other people, but life is finite, and farewells are unavoidable. That's why life is valuable. It's beautiful because it's destined to end. So I have to tell you this, Totinos. I love you. Totino says he loves her too, and they head back to her bedroom. Her bedroom
Yay.
is a fucking Darth Vader meditation chair and a wall filled with identical black school uniforms, which I think is funny because in everyone else's room they have their singular C's outfit on the wall, but Igus has 100 of them because why not? uh,
She
and she
doesn't
also
even sweat. Why does she need more clothes than everyone?
she also has bullets all over her floor because why not? She apologizes for not having a warm, welcoming room, but she wanted Totinos to see how she lived. She said that she isn't sad that she's a machine, because if she can't die, then she can say with conviction that she will never leave Totinos. No matter how or when his life comes to an end, she will be there and he will always be in her heart. She gives Totinos one of the charred pieces of her body that got replaced after her fight with Ryoji so that he can always have a piece of her with him. She says that if living is about spending time with people you love, then she wants to be close to Totinos the most, and what's most important to her is to be by his side. She also blushes and asks for one more thing. At the base of her neck, behind her ribbon, is where her artificial psyche, the Papillon heart, is. It's extremely delicate, and she's not supposed to expose it outside of a clean room, but she wants Totinos to touch it. When he does, his genetic material will most likely be burnt into it, and she wants a permanent, unerasable memento of their connection. Totino's obliges, unties her ribbon, and spends the rest of the afternoon with Igus in her room.
Kinky.
I listened. I am having. Listen. I'm a translator. I'm having to hold myself back from so many comments right now that I do not think are appropriate for this podcast. I like the scene a lot.
It's very, very good. And then, finally, it comes the promised day. We all group up together before heading out, and Yukari brings up that Ryoji said if we defeat him and end the Dark Hour, we'll all lose our memories. So if we beat Nyx, there's a chance that they'll still lose their memories. But if that happens, no matter what, she's going to find a way to remember us, and everyone agrees. Everyone promises to meet up again after the battle on graduation day on the school roof. It's an important day and an important spot, which should jog everyone's memory. After prepping ourselves for the final boss, we head up to Tartarus and make our way to the roof. But as we near the roof, Fuka reads that Strega is in there too, but they aren't together, they're separate, and the first one up is Jin. He says that we must be serious about stopping Nyx, and we ask how he knew about it, and he says that they pieced it together from Ikutsuki's note. We ask how he knew Ikutsuki, and here I'm thinking, Ikutsuki was a double agent. He had two Persona teams the whole time. That's why Strega is the way that they are. But no, Jin doesn't really know him. He just knows that he was one of the researchers that created him, and they took his notes at the end. So we're like, what do you mean that he created you? What are you? And he says, it doesn't matter. It's all over soon. I'm not going to let you get in Takaya's way, and we're all going to die soon anyways, so I might as well let Takaya have his wish and let Nyx destroy the world. So we start his boss fight.
Listen, if everything's gonna end, I gotta make my boyfriend happy.
Right?
The boss fights in this section are pretty serious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm at level 99 with everyone, and, like, they weren't hard, but, like, I had to try.
Yeah. So after we kick his ass, we ask why he's so gay for Takaya. And he says that long before he knew about the Dark Hour or anything like that, Kirijo rounded up orphans to try and force them to snap and get their personas. And out of the 100 kids, the only ones that survived were Takaya, Jin, and Chidori. We're like, there it is. You're mad at the Kirijo group, and that's your motivation. And he says, nope, he doesn't care about the Kirijo group anymore. Takaya just told him to live only in the moment, not the past nor the future, and he wants Takaya to get his dream.
He's like, stop trying to give me a motivation.
I don't want one. Just then, a swarm of shadows appears, and we offer Jin to escape and come with us, but he declines, deciding to instead detonate the bomb that he's had in his limited edition Chekhov suitcase that he's carried the whole game and never commented on. It's been a bomb. He's just had a bomb for his suitcase. Why not?
I mean, he uses grenades in fights, so...
Yeah, it makes sense that it would be a bomb, but I just think it's hilarious how he's just been holding a suitcase as part of his character design the entire time, and yeah, it was a bomb.
Even his words are bombs. a joke that does not work in a non-visual format, but I don't care.
Yes. Poor Peach. Anyways, so we continue our ascent, and we come across Takaya on the way up. He complains that we're still fighting this close to the end, and we say, fuck you, this isn't the end. He says that so many people are crying out and wishing for the end, and we're like, they're just scared because of the incidents that Nyx is causing. And Takaya says that no, we have it backwards. It's the incidents that are welcoming Nyx. You can't face death without finding meaning in your life, but there is no meaning to life. So Nyx has come because humanity has cried out for her salvation. Aiga says that there may be some people who want to live without a purpose, and it's not her place to judge if that's the case, but she herself wants a purpose, and that's why she's come all this way. Mitsuru says that through the power of friendship, all things are possible, because Takaya is a loser with no friends, he doesn't have anything to live for, but other people do. He says, what I'm not going to do is take shit from a Kirijo of all people. He turns to Totino's and reminds him of his promise that if we stand in his way, he's going to kill us. So here we are, boss fight time. After we kick his ass, he begs us to kill him, and Aigus asks him if he's afraid. He says that she must not know anything about death if she thinks that it's something to be feared. You only fear it because you don't understand it. I've lived long enough. I have nothing more to say. We say that he's not even worth the effort to kill, so we just leave him there to either be killed by Nyx like he wants, or to live to see another day like everyone else, so we just leave him on the ground. And up ahead is the roof, and it's time. When we arrive, a massive screaming thing with wings of Reaper's cloth is standing just outside. It's wearing Ryoji's face, and it's got a real big sword. It says that it used to be Ryoji, and it used to be the harbinger of Nyx, but now has become Nyx's avatar, and there isn't a true distinction between the two of them. He says that he has become the one thing that all living things fear, so it is futile to resist. Surely there must be fear in our hearts. Junpei is like, well, of course I'm scared, but who gives a shit? I've got too much to live for. Yukari says that she's not going to let her fear make her back down from things anymore. And Aiga says that even if she has to sacrifice herself, she will stop Nyx. It's her choice, and no one else is choosing for her. And the other party members don't get to have a moment, because before they can start the boss fight, a huge surge of shadows is coming up from below, so the bullpen leaves to hold them off, and it's just the active party that stands to take on the avatar of Nyx. And you start the final boss, and it is a good-ass final boss. It's actually 14 final bosses. Every time you deplete its HP, Arcana shifts to a new Arcana, getting new resistances, new moves, new AI, and everything, and you have to fight it all over again. Its final Arcana is Death, which is his true form. Thankfully, his true form isn't Aeon, and we didn't have to do it 21 times. We just have to do it 14. And so eventually, we do take him down. I, however, am on easy, and I already fought Elizabeth, the secret final boss, so I wiped the floor with him. It was like half a turn to get rid of every single stage. I remember in Fest, like, this was like a hour and a half ordeal of getting through this, and this one I was prepared to, like, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning this morning. I'm like, here we go, it's going to be a long thing. It took me like 5 minutes.
Yeah, the each individual phase does not have that much HP when you're level 99.
No. So the Avatar says that it's a pity that the rest of the world wasn't like us and fought against their fate, because maybe then this could have been prevented. He flies up into the air, and the moon hatches. Turns out it was an egg for Bahamut, and he's awoken to raise the planet to return everyone to level 1 in a realm reborn. And by a Bahamut, I of course mean a giant eldritch horror with an eye the size of the moon itself. The Avatar reaches up with some magic-y bullshit and begins to pull Nyx down to Earth. Meanwhile, the whole world wakes up out of their coffins so that they can watch the end happen. And the shadows begin feasting, just taking out NPC after NPC.
It's gross.
Mm-hmm. Because every other time that it's happened throughout the game, it's happened off screen. But now we're in an anime FMV, so it's not happening off screen. You just watch the shadows like gloop their victims. It's gross.
Also, we have a lot of your social links have left the city at this point because a lot of them leave when you finish their social link. But the ones that didn't, you see them briefly standing around having a reaction to this, and it's like, why are 4 of my classmates that don't know each other just randomly hanging out at Naganaki Shrine at midnight?
Like the first one that pops up is like outside of Bookworms at the strip mall, and it's like, okay, that's a busy place of commerce. I could understand why these people are in the same one, but Naganaki Shrine at midnight, there's no reason. They just needed another place.
I mean, I don't know much about Japanese culture. Maybe high schoolers hang out at shrines at midnight. Maybe that's a normal thing.
Back up on the roof, Takaya comes up to watch the end, and Nyx's arrival is sending out like really powerful magic-y wind, knocking everyone over, like pinning them to the ground, but they're not giving up. But the wind is too strong, and no one's able to stand up, and they're all being forced into the ground, and Totinos blacks out. And when he wakes up, he's in the Velvet Room. Igor asks Totinos if he remembers what he said before. The strength of our social links will determine our power, so let's see how powerful we are. We get messages from all of our social links. This is the first time I've beaten the game with every single social link, so this takes a long time.
Yeah, it does.
And all of our social links lend us their spirit bomb energy. Igor says that separately, these bonds may be weak, but together they can form our true power, and their wishes consolidate into the ultimate arcana, the arcana of the universe. The Velvet Room, which you might remember is an elevator, finally arrives at its destination on the top floor, and it opens. Igor says that our contract is complete and that we've been a wonderful guest, and then back on the roof, Totino stands up, walks forward, and jumps into Nyx by himself. He flies through a kaleidoscope-ass tunnel and lands in front of an egg that looks like it's about to hatch. Immediately, it deals 9,999 damage to him, but he holds on with 1 HP, like he's a Pokemon with max friendship. Our friends send us the power of their friendship, and it heals us, but only a little. Nyx casts her fuck you spell again, and this time it misses. Our friends send us more power, and we've healed a little bit more this time, but our attacks are still dealing jack shit damage. Nyx sends another fuck you spell, and this time it's blocked.
Love it.
It's so good. More of our friends send their power, and now we're fully healed, and we can afford the HP cost of our new Universe Arcana Persona's power. It's costly. It costs 607 HP, which is exactly how much that Totinos has left. As he uses it, everything goes white, and the party is transported into a JRPG final boss no space, standing on stars and shit, and there's no sign of Nyx or Totinos anywhere. Fuka can't sense him anywhere, and the party is pissed because they all came to give their lives, but only Totinos died. That's bullshit. They call out for him, knowing that he must be out there somewhere, and Totinos weakly is like, I'm okay. Nyx calls out to the party and says that Nyx will sleep once again. Peace will return to the world and to Totinos. Totinos has found the answer to life's greatest question. He just found it a bit sooner than everyone else. Nyx tells Igus that one day she too will find the answer, provided she pays $35 for the expansion pass. Nyx says that the dark hour is ending and the world will continue, and that we somehow found the miracle that we were looking for. The team is transported back to the ground, and the green sky of the dark hour shatters, restoring the blue night sky. And Tartarus melts, and Totinos walks out of the front door of the school. Peace is restored, and the seasons change, and the party is sent forward to March, which we will discuss next time.
And in this transition, it does mention no one remembers what happened during the dark hour. By which I mean the citizens don't remember what happened during the dark hour. So we don't have to deal with that, with everyone suddenly experiencing the dark hour. They don't remember that. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So let's listen to some music, and then we'll talk about it in a few moments.
Yeah, the time's now. Burn my dread in the drain, I'm fearless now. I'm pretending to be no pain to see. From the bottom of my heart, I'm ready to seize the day. Cause I know in your heart there's a spot for me. Believing in the gave me possibilities. It's more like a gift that I don't deserve. So I gotta give it back to you by all means.
It sounds like it was a really cool final boss. I can't wait to play it as soon as this fucking recording's done.
Yeah.
It's good, but like I said, nothing there is really a surprise.
No, not really. I could see the vague outline. My honestly, I might wait a little bit because I have a notoriously terrible memory, and there's a good chance I'll forget everything you said if I wait long enough.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then next week we'll be discussing the very, very end, as well as all the social links that we haven't covered.
Yeah, because we were going to do the social link special this week and do the ending next week, but all of the social links have a bit in the epilogue, so it makes sense to cover all of them with their final scene.
Also, March is real short.
It's real short. So, question. Ryoji says that the world will end on January 31st, but the bad ending also shoots forward to March. Did us killing Ryoji give us an extra month of time, or
I think it's like everyone is going to start getting like apathy syndrome is going to start getting worse and worse starting January 31st, and maybe the main characters are already starting to get affected by the beginning of March, and that's why Yukari is like, yeah, fuck all this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Who cares?
I remember the wording wasn't exact, but he didn't say the world ends on this day. He said that's when I disappear. That is the last chance you get to just end this by killing me. And then he says, they're like, when will Nyx come? When does the world end? And he's like, I don't know exactly, but it's gonna happen before spring.
Yeah, no. When you come down after deciding to kill him, he goes, the promised day is January 31st. That's when the world will end.
That's so weird, because earlier, before that, when he's doing the big explanation, he says otherwise. He says, I don't know the exact time Nyx comes, but it's sometime.
Yeah. Maybe he was trying to make us kill him. I don't know.
So when you start Aegis's social link, she starts texting you.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Oh my god, I love it.
One of the times she texts you, the subject is, "This is incredible," cat emoji. And then the text of the text is, "Did you notice the image? Here it is again, cat emoji." Despite the small number of pixels used and suboptimal resolution of the cell phone screen, it remains clear that the image is depicting a cat emoji. By the way, I would like to go back together today too. Would you please accompany me? I love her.
That's so good.
Your Honor, I love her.
Because I've been following the guide, I have been under cell phoning in this game, and I've been missing out on so many things.
The cell phone is so good in this game. It's like the best thing they added.
I do love. So I text the boys a lot because I can never remember where the fuck they are when it's time for their linked episodes. So I do love that Junpei can't fucking text for shit.
Yes.
It's very, very good.
Another thing is, as throughout the game, you've been able to take Koromaru for walks on certain days. And sometimes it'll say, Fuka can go with you. And then you go, and then there's a very brief scene of you and Fuka sitting on the bench and you talk. And then Koromaru comes up and brings you an amethyst or something.
Uh-huh.
And Fuka's like, oh, what is
like
this?
snap.
And I'm like, it's a fucking amethyst. What the fuck? But anyway. I think it's either like the 29th or the 30th, you talk to Koromaru and it says, everyone can go with you, which is interesting. So you go to the shrine and there's just a bunch of brief scenes of like Yukari and Mitsuru are sitting on the bench and they're talking about going shopping together. And then Ken and Akihiko are talking about some silly stuff, and then Junpei and Fuka are paired up because they get paired up sometimes, even though they don't really have any strong link to each other, but just they're the two characters that are left.
Mm-hmm.
and they're climbing on the jungle gym, and it's really funny.
Yeah,
And then
one of the
Aegis,
characters who's important person is not in the party, so
yes,
Yeah.
they have to get linked up.
Yeah,
and
their girlfriends aren't in the party.
yes, uh, and then Aegis is crouched down in front of Koromaru, and she holds out her hand and says, "Shake." And then Koromaru jumps up and puts both his paws on her head, which in an extremely cute animation, and she says, "Is shake the command given to request paws on one's head?" And then he barks, and she says, "I comprehend."
It's very, very good.
And then if you hang out with her after maxing out the social link, if you hang out with someone after maxing out a social link, you get a very brief scene where it's just like, I hung out with so and so. If you do that with Aegis, the scene is her talking with all of Koromaru's friends, the dogs and cat from earlier.
That's cute. I think in Fest you were playing on the playground and when that one happened, but that's really cute.
Extremely cute.
Speaking of those little scenes, normally when you complete a social link, like you said, you get a really small like little montagey scene. But on the 29th or 30th, right there towards the end of the game, if you hang out with any of your girlfriend social links, they all have a "we have sex for a second time" scene, which is very cool.
Oh?
They're all incredibly short. You have not missed anything, but they're voice acted and new to Reload, so they're really cool.
Okay, well, I need to. Yeah, that sounds cool. Okay, so I have less to talk about for obvious reasons,
Mm-hmm.
but I do want to say, I just like. So you mentioned you beat Elizabeth, and can I just say,
Mm-hmm.
what the fuck? How? I looked up a guide on how you're supposed to beat her, and I'm like, I truly no thank you. I don't want to. I tried just like, oh, let me just use some of my best personas and try this. And I was like, oh,
No,
this is a nightmare.
yeah, no. So, how you do it is so this game has a very, very deep customizable persona system. The way that you fuse
Where?
them, fuse them, you can get all sorts of different stuff. And people have been playing this game for more than a decade. So people are really, really good at it. So when they're adding a super secret final boss, it is not a super secret final boss for people who are playing it the first time. It is for people who've been playing it since 2006. So
It's not me.
so you basically have to, I almost said breed. You have to fuse a certain amount of correct personas with a certain loadout. It's definitely a puzzle encounter because when she goes through her phase changes, she will do an insta kill attack, and you need to have endure and enduring soul, both of them, which is a very weird thing to do, to tank both of those so that you can survive it. You also need to have something that has strong resistances but no repels or absorbs, because if you repel or absorb, she will also do the fuck you attack. So basically you have to go in with the evolved form of Orpheus, because that one has resistances but no drains and no reflections, and you load it out in a particularly stupid way to be able to deal specifically with Elizabeth's stuff. I was following a guide, so I did not have to do that.
Yeah.
But,
So
the real final boss is the playing with the Velvet Room to answer her shit.
horrible. I hate it. So I reached a point. So I probably couldn't have done that because I was not playing this game with the guide, and I did reach a point near the end of the like month where I was just like adding up how much of each social link I hadn't done yet, because I had not touched student council boy or I was like on rank 2 with the chariot dude, the running guy. I hadn't finished Kenji's, and I was just like, Oh, I don't have. There's literally not. Even if I managed to spend every afternoon doing a social link, which you can't because there's a lot of social links that are just like the game's just like, well, no one's wants to hang out with you today.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been possible. And it's like on the one hand, part of me was sad of like, oh, I wish I could have done like I wanted to get all the social links and get the cool special Orpheus one. I wanted to complete my Pokedex of personas. But also, to do that, it's clear I would have had to follow some guide. And this is my first time playing this game. I don't want to follow some comprehensive guide for something like that. I just wanted to have fun, and I did. And so, while disappointed, I'm just gonna enjoy the fact that I had fun,
Yeah.
and not despair over what could have been.
Yeah. If you look at it on the other hand, you now have parts of Persona 3 that you haven't played yet. So you can go back and get more Persona 3, which
Maybe in 5 to 10 years.
yeah, absolutely. Playing it twice at the same time is ridiculous. I can't believe you did that.
Hi, I'm insane.
But yeah, I've basically come to that realization that I should not do the side quests in any game that I get, because after I finish the main quest and I still care about the game and stuff, I can then have more of the game that I haven't played before, and I can go and play more of the game. But if I'm doing it throughout, I might get burnt out on it and then never know how the game ends. And so I'm all for your first time through a game, do not 100% it. But I am not my first time through this game, so I was a freak who 100%ed it.
I
Absolute freak mode.
when I played Persona 3 Reload for the first time, I looked online for tips on how to use your time wisely, but I did not follow a guide, and I got everyone maxed except Chihiro, who was stuck at level 9. And that frustrated me a lot. But with New Game Plus, I was able to max out everyone without following a guide, because your social stats carry over to New Game Plus, which gives you a lot of extra time.
Does Mitsuru give you a... Because I was wondering about this, because all of her social links definitely deal with the fact that she is only opening up to be nice to people towards the end, but she has the tarot card over her head the whole game. Can you start her social link early, or does she come up with some other excuse?
No, you can't start her social link until her dad dies. I mean, like the whole... until after the Kyoto trip.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, a lot of her social link does deal with the fact that her father has died.
Yeah. I figured, but it was one of those things that I was like, if I do a New Game Plus, it's one of the things I want to check out, because she has its tarot card the whole time.
I forget what the excuse is, but because normally the excuse it gives you is you need max academics.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Going to talking about the bad ending.
Uh-huh.
I love it. As you brought up, it's really interesting that it doesn't like rub your face and like, this is the bad ending, you fucked up, you ruined it. Like, the characters have a peaceful death. But what I find so fascinating is it's such a brilliant, like, the conversation the characters have in March in the bad end is such an excellent way of just going, hey, if you hadn't realized, here's the themes of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything there, without ever saying that, they don't, the theme of the game is unstated because they are stating the anti-theme of this game. The characters are going, yeah, you know, like, God, isn't it just better to be ignorant and to just, like, go, like, it's just easier, and, like, we're kids, fuck it, let's not worry about big things. Let's just, you know, try to have a good time, which is a very, like, relatable, understandable feeling. But when contrasted with the entire game up to this point, the characters we've gotten to know, the struggle we've seen, even if it is like you're part like, yeah, I do want these characters to just have a nice time and not have to worry about things. The point of the game is, no, though, if you live your life in ignorance of the larger problems of your world and you do nothing to try to help, you will die in that ignorance, and you will do so happy but unfulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's brilliant. Like, that's just truly fascinating writing. I've never seen a game so effortlessly go, hey, here's what this game's about without me having to say it at all.
Yeah.
It's good. It's really fucking good.
Yeah. I love the bad ending for a whole bunch of things. We'll get into more of the reasons why next week when we can compare and contrast the two. But one of my favorite things about it is the characters have forgotten everything, but you, the player, have not. And every time a game plays with the fact that there's another person in the room, and that person is you, the player, I love that. Love that shit. It's one of the reasons why I have written several treatises on Dragon Quest, because both you and the character gain experience at the same time, and it's really really cool. But you remember everything, and you having that knowledge makes everything different in the bad ending. So if you for some reason also lost your memory and you were watching this thing, doesn't even seem like a bad ending. It seems like everybody just goes and relaxes and spends some time with their friend. But because we have the memory, we know that it's playing the Tartarus theme, and not the let's get shit done Tartarus theme, the like sad, depressing Tartarus theme from inside of Tartarus over the credits. That's not a we just beat the game sort of song. That's something is up here. And so all of the bad ending part of it is because we have knowledge of before, which our characters don't, which I think is very, very neat.
I agree. Also, sorry, I'm just hitting on other things. Just the like this just occurred to me with like the larger, stuff I'm trying to like build thematically with this game. The fact that Ryoji pulls the whole like, hey, no, you can't, like ahead of time, like, hey, these are your choices. Either die in ignorance or fight and die. There is no other option. There is no victory here. And the game punches you in the head with that over and over again. Until, of course, as your plot summary this week showed, that's bullshit. You can win. It's really hard, and it feels impossible, but you can do it. And again, trying to link this to this, idea of ignorance, being literal ignorance, that the fact that the only way you can fight and change things in this world is by being aware of them in the first place, and that has a cost to it itself. It just makes me think like the part of the way the machinery runs, how systemic oppression is able to keep going is not simply through ignorance, though ignorance is, of course, one of the greatest bonuses to keeping systemic oppression going. But it is a feeling of powerlessness, this idea of crushing into you that to fight this is impossible. You either go back to living your life pretending it doesn't exist and let it continue to crush people in the people crusher, or you throw yourself in the people crusher yourself. Those are your only options, and it makes dismantling the machine feel like it isn't an option. And I don't know, I think that's good writing. That's dope.
Mm-hmm. Unrelated, everybody make sure you're registered to vote. The
Please,
deadlines are coming up soon.
Fucking please, I'm begging you.
So I mentioned the playing with the fact that you're in a game a second ago. Some more ludonarrative consonants is if you harvest anything from the rooftop at the end of January and you go to plant something, Totina's doesn't say the game's almost over. You can't harvest this. Why do you even do it? Totina's is like, I'll come back and harvest this after we win on Promise Day. And it even in the just UI of the item crafting of the roof is no, we're gonna go beat this motherfucker, and we're gonna have the future. And I thought that was very cool.
That's extremely cool. I love that.
So another one that I just noticed here finally at the end of the game is the time of day that happens for the classroom scenes where like you have tests and answer questions and everything. It changes depending on which teacher is talking. Like you can suss out what Totina's schedule is because of when everything happens. You have like early in the morning is Toriumi, and Ikoda is in the late afternoon. And so you could piece together what his schedule is from when everybody shows up, which I think is neat.
It's extremely neat. Also, fuck Ikoda. I hate him.
So, all of his like rants about the Judeo-Christian mythology stuff and how it relates, I remember from Fest was very, very interesting. But it also takes 900 text boxes. Since about July of this game, I've been fast forwarding. I couldn't give a shit anymore.
I've been skipping him constantly. I don't give a I don't give a fuck. I don't care.
I skip all the lectures except Toriumi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Because
same.
all of her lectures are just like, this place fucking sucks. I hate this. Ikoda's a piece of shit. By the way, who fought in Homer's The Odyssey? And it's hilarious. I love it so much. And then those weird questions about her like hating her people show up on the exams, and that's just so funny to me. Speaking of Toriumi Sensei, for no reason, in the
Oh yes.
in the Spirit Bomb scene, but Maya, our online friend, apparently woke up in the middle of the dark hours, like, I need to play some video games, and so she sends you your Spirit Bomb power, and she goes, I don't even know what he looks like, but I know he's okay. I can feel it, and I love it so much. I love Maya.
Shout out to again to that amazing comic on Tumblr that is still ongoing called Fail Teacher Yuri. It's great. I love Maya. She is truly a world-class fail woman. I completely would believe that she just woke up in the middle, like, oh, my MMO's still on.
So after Yukari's rank 10 social link, where you bone Yukari in her room, Fuka has a, hey, we got to get ready for the promise day dialogue that always happens throughout the month as you come home. But because you were already in the dorm, because you were boning Yukari, she goes, oh, you're already here, because she was going to greet you at the door, but you were already at the dorm. And I thought that just adding that one little twist to the dialogue was very cute.
It's very funny, yeah.
And speaking of finalizing social things, so in Ken's final linked episode, it resolves with Yukari bringing Ken some roasted sweet potatoes, and all of the guys are there because of reasons we'll go into next week, and so they all get to come and eat sweet potatoes too. But while Ken and Totino's get to use the text box for their bromance, the voice actors can keep talking in the background. So we hear Yukari and Junpei talking while they're going downstairs. And Junpei is like, all right, roasted sweet potatoes. And Yukari is like, I had only got these for Amada, but you can have like the skins and the burnt parts. And Junpei's like, what am I, a dog? And Koromaru goes, it's good. I love it. It's so
very
much.
good.
Yes, Junpei, you are in fact a dog.
Yeah, all of the voice actor ad-libs in this game are fantastic. I don't know if they're taking the opportunity to not have the Japanese text to adhere to, or if the Japanese text does the same sort of shit, but every single one of them in the entire game is very good.
I like this game a lot. Thank you for finally getting me to play it, and as talked about in what I'm also doing in my spare time, consequently getting me into the Persona franchise. Also, fuck you for doing so. I ruining my life over here. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm losing my trans girl cred by playing Persona games. I'm gonna get kicked out of so many communities.
It's okay. You're playing with various lesbian mods. I think you win some points back.
Okay, you're right. I think that might actually save me.
So the final two I have are just text box callouts that I thought were great. So I think it's in Akihiko's final linked episode. In one of them, you get like basically in trouble with the law because you single-handedly beat the shit out of a whole gang. And so in the last one, Officer Kurosawa shows up and he's like, yeah, we couldn't find any evidence, so we're just going to chalk it up to random violence and not pursue it anymore. And Akihiko's like, thank you. And then Officer Kurosawa states, I may be an officer of the law, but I'm a human being first, which is so funny to me because that's not true.
No.
But also, I love by phrasing it like this, it implies that an officer of the law is not a human being.
Which, I mean, that
Also true.
also true. As someone who has several relatives who are cops, they aren't humans. Sorry.
And
I say
then
this jokingly, dehumanization is a weapon of the enemy, and we should use it sparingly, if at all. Anyway, continue.
uh, speaking of dehumanization, so in Igus's final social link, where you are second to last social link, where you decide to be a boyfriend girlfriend, the narrator box pops up, and Tortinos is like, "I've entered a special relationship with Igus. There's no going back now." And then Igus's first thing is, we should go back now." We're talking about going back to the dorm, but I just thought it saying the same thing twice was hilarious.
Oh, okay. Actually, I'd be remiss if I didn't. So first of all, as I said before, I just reiterating, I fucking love Igus's social link so much. To be fair, I'm an easy mark. If you give me a story about some sort of AI or android learning to be a human, if it's actually done well, I will lose my goddamn gourd for it. And also, Igus is just the cutest, sweetest, most wonderful girl ever, and I adore her. So, again, easy. But you add onto that the I've been playing in Reload as well. I've been playing in Portable as well. And I've brought both sides of the podcast. I was aware going in Portable, you can be actually without mod gay. And I was like going in being like, I'm going to keep my expectations low. I'm going to not, like, it's probably going to be lame. It's probably boring. I went through it in Portable before I did it in Reload, and having now done it in both, I'm like, oh no, it is full on the full same shit you'd get as a guy, except with an added thing of her as she's being like, no, but I'm a robot. I can't be with you because human. She's also like, also we're both girls, and that doesn't seem socially. And you're just like, no, I like you. Let's do this.
Love it.
And God, cute. I love her so much. She's adorable.
So, flashback to a year and change ago when they announced that they weren't going to be including the Fest content in this game. We were all upset, not because the answer's not actually that good. It's kind of stupid. We covered it in the last one. We read a thing on it. It's really hard. We couldn't beat it. We just read the summary, and it's not that great. We were all upset because Igus's social link was Fest content, and we thought that they were going to cut this from the game, which is a travesty. I can't believe it wasn't in the original because it's so thematically great.
Yeah, seriously, it's I can't imagine a version of this game that doesn't have her social link. It's so good.
Mm-hmm. It's especially like as we'll see next week. Igus is like crucial to the ending, and not having this exploration of her character in the final month would be weird. I want to tell the story that way, and their first draft told the story that way, and it's weird. So that'll do it for the week. Next week we will finish the epilogue in March and talk about all of our social links and the ending of the game, and very excited for that. If you like what you heard today, you can head on over to www.rpgbook.club and toss us some cash to help us cover the cost of running the show. If you sign up for a monthly contribution, you get some extra benefits. At $1 a month, you'll be on the Gadabout tier and get access to our bonus feed, where each week we will have after show episodes for each of the main podcasts. Episodes, and we'll also have, as we have extra time, all of our bonus series are there. So Book Club no Kaseki, Tales of Podcastia, The Escape Pod, JRPG Canon, all of those are there, just maybe at a slower drip than before. You'll also get access to our polls to choose the game we play next. We're in the final week between Legend of Legaia and Radiata Stories. Legend of Legaia still is handily winning, so thank you all for freeing me from this hell.
No, I wanted you trapped in that hell.
If you up your donation to $5 a month, you'll be on the Warrior tier, where you'll get all of the above, but you'll also get me to read your name kind of like this. Shoutouts to It's Clear Time, Frost Terror, Dragon Slayer 19, Florist, Kildron, Freddy Rodriguez, Aaron 524, and J4 Prime. And then at $20, you become a luminary, and you get to also make me shout out something each week. So shout outs to El Tantavi, who wants you to check out aftermath.site, a worker-owned, reader-supported news site covering video games, the internet, and the cultures that surround them. And shout outs to Vimk, who wants you to play Legend of Gaia. So go vote for the game so we can play that, so I don't have to come up with things. I only have one more week to come up with things, and I've used this one 3 times because I'm out of things to say about Legend of Gaia. And then shoutouts to Carr, who is a dentist, so he isn't plugging a website, but rather your own mouth, and he says to brush your teeth twice a day, most importantly, the time before you go to bed. For RPG Book Club, I've been Sam.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Trish.
Toodaloo, folks. Not see you later.
Bye.
Toodaloo supremacy.